Namaste and a very warm welcome everyone to joining us from across India and around the world. My name is Rumit Wali. I'm the Manager Youth Affairs for South and Southeast Asia for Earth Day Network. And with pleasure, I'm also representing the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports today. I've been privileged to also act as a mentor for sustainability with the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports for the young leaders that were there in the National Youth Festival. Today, I'm honored to moderate the inaugural edition of the Viksit Webinars, a new flagship initiative under the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, launched as a part of Viksit Bharat Vision. This virtual series aims to bring thought leaders, change makers, and youth voices together every month on national and international days that truly matter, like today, Earth Day 2025, which also marks the 55th anniversary of Earth Day back when it started in 1970. It truly has been a wonderful movement around the world. We're launching this series with our first webinar on the theme that couldn't be more relevant or timely, that is our power, our planet, which will be powering mission life. It's a call to action and a reminder that each of us holds the power to shape our planet's future, especially our youth, who are at the heart of a sustainable and developed Bharat. The ministry's work under Viksit Bharat focus not only on youth engagement, but also on building a pro-planet society. Through Mission Life, Lifestyle for Environment, launched by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi and championed globally, India is leading shift from climate talk to climate action. And that's why today we are marking this as the Earth Action Day. Today, India stands as a global leader in renewable energy, and many of you might have just seen the news a few weeks ago that now we rank among the top 3 countries in solar and wind energy capacity, with ambitious goals of increasing non-fossil fuel capacity by 2030 and hosting one of the world's largest solar parks. India is showcasing that climate responsibility and economic growth can go hand in hand. Today, as we align with Earth Day's global movement with India's national mission, we are deeply privileged to be joined by someone who has been at the forefront of environmental advocacy and Earth Day legacy for decades. And I've had the pleasure to meet Miss Kathleen Rogers, President of earthday.org. Under her leadership, Earth Day has grown into the world's largest civic environmental event, mobilizing over 1 billion people every year in over 190 countries. Ms. Rogers, we are truly honored to have you with us to share your thoughts, inspire our youth, and help us strengthen the bridge between global awareness and local action. With great joy and gratitude, I now invite you to take the stage. Over to you.
Thank you. That was a wonderful introduction. I don't know how I can beat that. Greetings, everyone. Namaste. I'm actually talking to you from Rome, where I am for Earth Day, and I'm so pleased to be here. It is not an exaggeration that the first time I visited India, and now I've been there many, many times, I must admit it was one of the most exhilarating experiences of my life. Your society is extraordinarily dynamic, incredibly smart, and innovative. And so it's a real pleasure to be here with you, mostly young people who will be leading the planet for the next 100 years or so. So I'm really excited to be here. And I mean that sincerely. India is a global leader in every regard, whether it's environment, science, art, music, culture. It's an incredible country. And I'm very proud to have people working with me in India, and especially of the work that you've done around renewable energy, which is extraordinary. Let me start with just a couple of minutes about the history of Earth Day, which most young people don't know. After about 150 years of industrial development, which started in the 1800s, and in the United States and other countries, it was really obvious that the development that was taking place around the world was leaving a terrible environmental mark. We had children that were suffering birth defects. You could not literally see across the street in Los Angeles during rush hour because the pollution was so bad. Our rivers were on fire, literally, because oil companies would dump oil and it would catch on fire. And so a US senator, that's from our top legislature, the Senate, and a very young activist got together and created something that became Earth Day. and 20 million people came out on the streets. 20 million, which was a lot for us back then, more than 10% of our population, came out on the streets in what was really a fairly super calm march of people from every walk of life, farmers, ranchers, faith people, children, students, everyone joined together, mayors, everyone was walking because they really wanted to stand up about the pollution in their cities and states. And so the US Congress and the President of the United States took note of that. And over the next couple of years, literally, they created the first Clean Air Act in the world, the first Clean Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, the Toxic Control Act. And we went through a very, very long stretch. I wasn't around, but the US experienced what I'd call a honeymoon of environmental laws and regulations. However, at that point in 1970, no one was aware that there was such a thing as climate change, really. I mean, a few scientists, but it really hadn't caught on as a concept, and there wasn't a lot of awareness. And so I think around the world, we all thought things were getting a lot better. But in fact, we recognized that they weren't after a while. And between plastics and climate change, we're faced with many of the same issues that we had in 1970. And this time, they're not local, they are global. And that's why I'm so pleased to be here, because I honestly believe India will be one of the top leaders of the world as we move forward. And so what we do every year, and I've been at Earth Day about 20 years, is we come up with a theme. This year we developed a 2-year theme because we think it's important, called Our Power, Our Planet. The focus of which is to capture what we say is a little wave that will soon turn into a tsunami. And so we looked at what are the emerging issues, and we realized that despite climate change, despite some countries not being interested in solving the problem, we recognize that business was investing and governments were investing around the world in renewable energy. And we think the American expression is the train left the station. It's too late to stop it. And so what we're seeing now is that trillions of dollars are being invested and implemented and employed in creating renewable energy, whether it's solar fields, wind, geothermal, whatever it is, hydro, all of which you have in India in abundance. And these are inexhaustible supplies of energy that are clean, healthy, and most important for India, for the United States, for everywhere, the implementation, the employment of all of these technologies are going to lead to thousands, millions, and millions of jobs. And that's key for the future. And so we know that if we continue to invest, continue to engage the public, talking about renewable energy and how it can benefit us, our health, our jobs, our livelihood, and other species on this wonderful planet, we think renewable energy is the key to driving all of those sectors and all of those rewards. And so we're particularly excited to see India with their commitment to so many kilowatts of renewable energy by 2030. It's hard to translate kilowatts in every country into how many people will be affected, but I think everyone in India will receive huge benefit from the transition. And whether it's the United States or India, let's face it, fossil fuels of any kind are bad for our health. They're bad for the landscape. They're bad for the water. They're bad for the species that are forced to live around the destruction. We all know that. Do I think fossil fuels are going away in the next 10 years? No, not completely. But I do think business and level-headed and smart governments are going to make similar investments, that we will see a transition that's inevitable. And so I'm pretty excited about the direction that India is going. And I think, again, your leadership in all things environmental. One thing I know about India that I learned that is not in the culture of the US the way it is in India is your great respect for biodiversity and for life in general. I've learned so much about your culture. I know it's a tiny tip because it's your history is so deep and eons long, but what I know has really changed me. And so a lot of my thinking at Earth Day and the people who work at Earth Day is how can we be more like India? How can we value nature? How can we make these transitions in a way that it becomes integrated into our culture? And I really mean that. In addition, I really sincerely believe that I don't care if you're talking about a child who lives on the streets of any Indian city. You are incredibly brilliant people. And the thing I would suggest above all is that youth are going to take the leadership, not only in the inventions and the innovation and all of the things that you can make and create to help your country lead the technology revolution. To me, that's key, that youth begin those experiments, and it's a perfect place to start today. So congratulations to all of you, what you're trying to accomplish here and what you're doing. To all the young people that are listening, I hope my children are as inspired as you are. So I'd be happy to answer a few questions or take the lead from the very honorable Earth Day people that are on this call.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It truly is an honor to hear those words about India, and truly our culture, how it's respecting Mother Earth, as we call it. We don't just call it a planet. We always call it Mother Earth. And you will see temples and everybody's today out there in the streets celebrating this day as like some kind of a very big festival where we're giving tribute back to the earth, planting trees, cleaning up the streets. But we have a question that came from one of our young leaders. The question is that young people in India are very passionate about the environment, but sometimes they feel their actions are too small to make a difference. What would you say to them about the real power of individual action, especially in the context of Earth Day?
Well, there are a number of things. I feel the same way. I recycle my brains out. I do all sorts of things, but none of us are perfect environmentalists for starters. I'm not. But I do think what youth have this power because, and I remember this when I was really young, is we all felt invincible. We felt like we could change the world. We felt like there was just nothing standing in our way. And that's the beauty of youth. And particularly in India, it's not just about individual action. Yes, each of us can try to recycle. I mean, I recycle, but the place where I live has imperfect recycling. So I think about a third of what I sit there and recycle actually gets recycled, but I still keep doing it. I also think the most powerful thing we can do is engage with each other, just like you're doing here. It's collective action. And your government is very open to collective action, and you're very interested in it's very interested in hearing from youth in particular. I find the India government, if I might say, I don't know everything, but is very responsive to youth and is very responsive to questions, and will take interest in and also take some of your ideas to help solve their own problems. Because again, what youth have, not all of them, we have time, energy, and we're together either through social media or in school or at university, wherever you are. Young people have this power of collective and individual action. And so I would really recommend, in addition to the things that you can do, and let's face it, turning off the water and recycling, they're all parts of it. But honestly, the corporations and the governments are the ones who are really responsible for taking care of things. So we can be the squeaky wheel. We can collectively talk to our local officials, talk to our city councils, talk to our parents about what they can do to bring our ideas to the forefront, because the next generation of great ideas will come from you. So in addition to personal action to clean up the environment, if you have ideas, like many people here today do, about how to solve the problems, bring them forward. Let your governments know, let your universities, let your colleges and high schools know, because there's an opportunity to, again, to create things, to be inventors and to be innovators. So it's across the spectrum what you can do. But the people that do it, that are inventive, that are creative, are the ones that are going to own the green economy. And it's really important that India own the green economy, because it's coming, whether forces against us want it or not. It is inevitable. So why not take advantage of it? Why not be the ones on top? Why not be the inventors? And it's all going to come from you.
I mean, that truly proves that in a way we're on a very right track. And I'll just mention a few things about what ministry is doing. So recently in the National Youth Festival, we came up with 4 buckets, one of which was named as APA, Our Planet, which talks about what new inventions from youth can come into the government, which can be translated into a policy for a better renewable future, as well as climate education. I mean, many youth have reached directly to our prime minister saying that let's mandate climate education into our NDCs, and there was a positive response. And we were so glad to see
Great.
these things happening every week. These people are meeting, and Earth Day, especially in India, is doing so many events. I was yesterday in an event, and I think this theme Earth Day has done a wonderful job with, because when I ask students what does it mean, what do you mean, let's say when I say our planet, and many people say that we have the power to change the planet, we have the power. So I think literally in terms of power, renewable energy, it goes very well, and not literally, also generically also people do understand that the theme really connects with them. So I'll just ask a final question, keeping your time in mind. It's about how Earth Day can also help all these efforts that the ministry and the youth of our nation is doing. One person have asked that in many parts of our nation, youth are leading powerful grass movements, from clean energy to zero waste communities. I mean, they are building solar cookers, they are building so much small impacts and innovation. How can these local actions be scaled or connected to global platforms through Earth Day?
Well, I think let me talk about, you didn't exactly ask it, but you brought it up, which is climate education. So I'm really pleased to hear that, because we hope by the next big international meeting on the Paris Climate Treaty that we'll have many countries have included it in their NDCs, which not only then they have to report on, but they also can receive funding for, because it's not inexpensive to train teachers. But in the United States, and I'd super recommend this for India, what we're seeing is that local governments are teaching the science of climate. That's great, but that takes about 10 minutes. You burn fossil fuels, it hits the atmosphere, it creates an umbrella, it messes up the weather, and so you have terrible consequences. But what we're doing, and I think India is starting to do, is that we're teaching it not just in science classes, but math, art, gym class. So if the kids are running around playing sports, every subject is being integrated. What happens when you do that is you begin to build the vocabulary, the ideas. We're all going to need psychiatrists if this keeps up. So even in psychology, they're teaching the impacts of climate change. So I think it's really important to fully integrate climate education across all subjects, because that's where you're going to have those kids. The light bulb will go off. They'll come up with an idea. They'll be different people. They'll be part of the solution. So I think that's a key element of what we have to do. With respect to local actions and how you tie them together, storytelling, I know it sounds kind of not impactful, but it really is. If you can unite those communities that are each working, those youth groups or those individuals that are working on local solutions, and knit them together into a story, either through film, through theater, whatever you're doing, it begins to impact culture. It begins to impact people's thinking. And so tying those stories together makes a bigger story. And once it's a bigger story, then more people will become engaged. Because I know in my own community, we do little things. We clean up our neighborhood, or we argue with the authorities if they're trying to cut down our old trees. And we have giant trees in my neighborhood. But it's the knitting together of the other communities that are around us. And suddenly we have a tree ordinance. They can't cut down the trees that are 200 years old and 200 feet tall without a permit. And it was because we complained in our little section of the world, and the next part of the world did the same thing. And then we all got together and created a sort of coalition of organizations. Youth are great at this, through social media, through getting together through various schools or social activities. So I really recommend taking those individual efforts, talking about them as much as you can, making them funny, because we really need some humor in this crazy, very difficult world that we're facing right now. And let's tell the story together. But earthday.org, through our India office, through our Washington office, and other places, are always willing to give you a boost. So let us know when you've put something together, and we will try and get it out to more people.
That's a wonderful response. And I think with that, everyone who is here listening to us, we're keeping Miss Kathleen Rogers' time in mind. She's in Rome. She has to go, I believe. And so thank you so much, Miss Kathleen Rogers, for sharing your wisdom, experience, and encouragement with the youth of India. Your words remind us that Earth Day is not just a date. It's a movement, it's a mindset, and a mission for everybody on this planet because we only have this planet to live in. I mean, we have ambitions to go to other planet, but why not? Let's save this one first. As we close this first edition of the Viksit webinars under the Viksit Bharat initiative of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sport, we are reminded that our power, our planet is more than just a theme. It's a call to action. And that's why we're calling it Earth Action Day. And whenever you all post something about it, there is a form out there. Register your Earth Day events. Hashtag, tag us, tag the Earth Day Instagram. We would love to share across, as ma'am said. Every young Indian has the power to shape our collective future through sustainable choices, through innovation, and through everyday acts of courage and care. Let us take this spirit forward, aligned with mission life, and strive to become the pro planet people. This is just a beginning. Many more conversations, many more collaborations and ideas will follow because the Viksit Bharat starts with a conscious, committed, and climate aware generation. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you so much, especially Miss Kathleen Rogers and Max out there, I know in the background.
He's
And a
annoying
very,
me in the
very
background. There he is. Hold on,
okay.
he wants to be on camera as usual. As Max Falcone from Rome.
Ciao.
And really go India. You're an incredible country.
Great. Yes.
Thank you.
Looking forward
Thank
to
you so
meeting
much.
you there.
Yes. A very happy Earth Day to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.